On President Biden's fiery speech in Poland, his language forceful enough for the White House to later try to soften those comments. And ABC's Mary Alice Parks joins us live from the White House now with more. Mary Alice, good morning.
Gio, good morning. This was a major address. President Biden defending freedom and democracy on the world stage. The symbolism of the site alone, Warsaw, Poland, with its history in the resistance that brought down the Soviet Union, all of that making it much harder for the White House to clean up President Biden's quick comment about President Putin. As if speaking for the history books, President Biden placed the new battles in Ukraine within a war decades long for freedom and democracy around the globe.
Let's remember the hammer blow that brought down the Berlin Wall. The might that lifted the Iron Curtain were not the words of a single leader. It was the people of Europe who for decades fought to free themselves.
He called this moment the test of all time and said America was ready to lead, that the Russian people were not the enemy.
I refuse to believe that you welcome the killing of innocent children and grandparents, or that you accept hospitals, schools, maternity wards, and for God's sake, being pummeled with Russian missiles and bombs.
But it was this moment, after he said President Putin can and must end this war, that surprised even his own team.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
The president seeming to call for regime change in Russia. That would be a complete shift in U.S. policy. The administration saying that's not what Biden meant.
We do not have a strategy of regime change in Russia or anywhere else for that matter. In this case, as in any case, it's up to the people of the country in question. It's up to the Russian people.
The question now, will Putin see Biden's remark as an escalation or a validation to keep fighting? Experts overnight worry that one line could have significantly damaged chances for a diplomatic end to this war. The words in the moment reverberating through that crowd with hundreds of Ukrainian refugees. Earlier, the president arm in arm with families forced to flee the war Putin started.
He's a butcher.
The Kremlin responding overnight to Biden's comments, saying this is not for Biden to decide. The president of Russia is elected by Russians.
Those remarks getting global attention. Mary Alice Parks for us. Thank you so much. Joining us now is ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, will be hosting This Week later on this morning. John, always great to see you. Good to have you. So let's start right there. The White House walking back those comments now in President Biden's speech when he said Putin cannot remain in power. How much does this seemingly off-the-cuff remark affect the purpose of his trip to the region?
Well, but just look at the coverage around the world, newspapers, television coverage around the world, all leading with President Biden saying that Putin must go. When that is not U.S. policy, it was not the purpose of that speech. The speech was to talk about the unity of NATO in standing up to Russia's aggression in Ukraine and portraying this as the struggle of our time. Instead, the headline is about something that is actually not U.S. policy. So a significant problem here. But you know, there's a columnist named Mike Kinsley years ago once said that a gaffe in Washington is when somebody inadvertently tells the truth. And there is little doubt that when the president ad-libbed that line, he was saying exactly what he meant.
And we know with diplomacy, every word matters. So we're seeing the ripple effect of that. I do want to switch to a different topic, though, this morning. Ginny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, now under scrutiny for alleged communication that she had with the Trump White House about overturning the 2020 election. There were text messages there. How likely is it that she will be called to testify, and what impact could this controversy have on her husband?
Well, the texts are really alarming. I mean, she actually condemns Mike Pence for not acting on January 6th to overturn the election as well. There's a big debate within the committee whether or not to call her in to testify. I would say it is not a given because despite how alarming those text messages are, Ginny Thomas is not seen as a central player in any of this, just somebody who had some rather extreme views and clearly access to people in the White House. As for Justice Thomas, many calls for him to recuse himself, but that is entirely up to Justice Thomas. There is nothing that can force him to recuse himself from anything, and I see little chance that he will.
All right, John Karl for us. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Of course, John has a big show later on This Week. He'll speak exclusively with Senator Amy Klobuchar, a key member of the Judiciary Committee, about those bombshell texts between Ginny Thomas and Mark Meadows, plus the contentious hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson And John talks with former CIA Director General David Petraeus about the war in Ukraine.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.